Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I had a question about the people who have learned how to trap psychic vampires, the little niggling kind, the psychic parasites that exist on the astral and some on the etheric, that seek to drain us of our vitality, that harass us and cause us problems. There is a group who has learned how to capture and contain those entities and turn the tables, feed off of them until they are no longer in a state where they can be harmful to others, in which case you can release them into the care of the universe, into the care of Source, so hopefully they can find their way home. Now, those who practice this, who know how to do this, are of a discipline that works with transitionary states. We would call them death workers. We would call them shadow workers. There are those who work the shadow in an ethical and compassionate way to help others. It's difficult, and you have to have the utmost integrity if you're going to approach that discipline. Else you get into terrible trouble. But there are those few who can do that. And those are the ones who know how to create the containers, maintain them, and have the discipline to carry that forward. And again, at the end of cycling the energy down, depleting the parasite, then sending it forward to where it truly belongs. Either where it came from, if it didn't have an origin of a soul piece of a person, or back to the person it belonged to if it was a revenant, something confused and looking for home and grabbing onto the next best thing and then forgetting its purpose, forgetting who and what it came from, and trying to perpetuate an independent life in a way that is detrimental to itself and to others. Revenant. These folks, they don't even have to bait their hook. They simply go about utilizing their gifts without too much concern about disguising themselves, so that when their sparkle is out there, it attracts predators. The predators come in, and when they notice a predator on the periphery, they just snatch it up, put it in their box or their bag, and whenever they need a little bit of extra energy to do a task, to do something important, then they have that to call on. And again, when the parasite's depleted, they send it on home. They send it where it came from, wherever it came from. They, through their patron or patrons who are about transition, transformation, and moving between the worlds, they send it back where it can do no harm, ideally. If you want an idea about how this is done, and I'm talking secondhand because it's not my discipline. My discipline's about continuance of life, the continuance of life, beauty, hope, progression, moving things forward, healing of things as they are, as opposed to transformation. We do some transformation, but not quite in that way. That's a little more hard-ass, aggressive, dare I say violent. It's more shadowy than what we do. We stand fully in the light, we cast shadows, but we don't tend to work with them. Those folks of high integrity, because you have to be to work the shadow work without it destroying you. Those of high integrity and high compassion can work with those kind of techniques without difficulty and without harm or fear of being corrupted. If you want a good depiction of that, go check out the story. It's a movie, Dr. Sleep. It's about the little boy in The Shining who has spiritual gifts and who grows up and is unable to learn how to master those gifts completely, and the difficulty he has because of that. It's a difficult watch because it shows a lot of sad, hard things. But for those of us who grew up in the shadows and who were forced to confront some very sad things, working our issues out, cathartically, by being exposed to some of this and getting some context for the experiences that we and our friends had that were dire and unfortunate, is very healing. So it's a difficult story. If you can't handle harsh material, then don't go there. But if you are okay at looking at the shadow, it does a really good job of showing psychic vampirism, how it operates, how it attempts to corrupt those it can't corrupt, it predates on. And it shows the method of spirit capture to safeguard yourself. It can give you some ideas if that's something that you feel drawn toward exploring. And I think it can show you a lot more than I can show you in 8 or 10 minutes. Or explain, for that matter, in 8 or 10 minutes. We live in a complicated world. I wish that the world of Dr. Sleep was more accurate to the world we've lived in up until now, because in the world of Dr. Sleep, the psychic monsters were just a small number of people who nomadically moved around and only picked on what they were perceived as the brightest stars. But in the real world, in our world, in this world, up until a short time ago, the psychic vampirism was widespread and systemic, industrial, and unforgiving. It preyed on many people, most often children, and it's a very sad chapter in human history, which has been with us for a very, very long time, but over time expanded and expanded and expanded and expanded. It's a problem that we have only recently got a handle on, and that we still, as a society, are unable to fully face. But here we are. It's time. And we're looking forward to a really lovely future. Again, if you're interested in more of the ideas of how to deal with a parasite, Dr. Sleep. And I wish I could be more explicit about exactly how these revenant, these parasitical traps were made. But messing around with bindings and containments can harm you if you're not of the right temperament to do it, and if you don't have someone more or less knowledgeable, some mentors, as well as some patrons and guides who can walk you through the process and back you up. Because when one of those gets loose, or if you have a whole group of them and they're out, it's like the pixies in the classroom. They go out of control, and they can cause a lot of problems, and sometimes some very serious problems, depending on what your life situation is. And that's why I'm being very careful about what I'm sharing and how I'm sharing it. So, any other questions? I'd love to hear them, and welcome to the woods.